Shantae is back for her 5th adventure. This time, she is invited to the Half-Genie Festival on Paradise Island. Shantae and her friends pack their bags and head to the island for a well-deserved vacation. But like most video games that start out with a "this is totally a vacation and not a trap" premise, their plans for relaxation go almost immediately awry, and Shantae must confront the Seven Sirens to save Paradise Island. My name is Phil from the Game Pack, and I'm excited to be reviewing another metroidvania-style game, Shantae and the Seven Sirens. Will it live up to my high standards for the genre? Let's find out. WayForward is not shy about showing powerful women in their games, which is great. But in addition to having strong personalities, they also all seem to have one other attribute in common. Questionable objectification aside, the sprite work is excellent. Shantae looks better than ever, and all the NPCs, baddies, everybody are given the hand-painted and 4K treatment. Now, I played on the Nintendo Switch, so I missed out on the 4K glory, but the HD goodness in handheld and in docked mode still looked amazing. In addition to the hand-drawn artwork in this game, we are also treated to fully animated cutscenes throughout Shantae's quest. They are a little choppy, as not all the frames are animated, but I thought they were great. I looked forward to getting to the end of a labyrinth to be treated to a cutscene to reveal the siren I was about to take on. I especially loved the intro song and movie, which made me feel like I was about to watch a Shantae Saturday morning cartoon.
Magic won't blow, my heart yells, let's go transform and fly away.
Speaking of the intro song, the soundtrack has some real bangers. My favorite was the Sunken Shipyard theme, which is playing currently in the background of this video. Unfortunately, not all the labyrinths have their own song, and there is a dungeon theme that is played. It would have been nice to have more original tracks in each zone, but I think on the whole, the soundtrack is pretty tight. On the topic of sound, the dialogue between all the characters was quite funny and continued the stories and relationships from previous games. It was partially voice acted, which for an indie game, I think is perfect. Ideally, all modern games are fully voice acted, but it's not always realistic for games developed with limited budgets. I truly enjoyed how the characters seem to have a storied history with each other, and it makes it feel like the world keeps going after the game stops. I think the Shantaeverse, for lack of a better term, is well crafted, and I was glad to see my favorite characters return. Although the game is Metroidvania in style, there are linear moments. The game is broken up into chapters, which I think made it an ideal candidate for its timed exclusivity on Apple Arcade. Another reason for it fitting well on mobile is the game's total length. Now, it's not noticeably shorter than any other Shantae game. Almost all of the Shantae games can be completed in under 10 hours. The game does leave you wanting more, and there are reasons to come back for seconds. A new Game Plus mode is unlocked once completing the story. I was tempted to start a run on this mode, but I wanted to give myself time to digest the standard playthrough. In addition to New Game Plus, there are unlockables for speedrunning and item collection. This style of game screams to be completed multiple times. As always, Shantae's main weapon is her luscious hair, which you can upgrade in the shops by purchasing shampoo and conditioner, which I think is really funny. In addition to the hair whip, she learns animal transformations along her adventure, which is a series staple. I thought the animals this time were well balanced, and I found it fun to experiment with them in combat and to reach previously unattainable areas. As you progress through the story and rescue the other half-genies, they will share their power with you. You can then use that power to solve puzzles, unblock locked paths, and heal yourself. You can also attack a full screen of enemies at once. It's pretty cool. There was a new card collecting system implemented for Seven Sirens. Occasionally, when you killed an enemy, they would drop an equipable card with a unique effect. For example, if you equipped the Golem card, it would increase the number of dropped gems. Or, if you equipped the Wall Dasher card, it would increase your dash damage. It was nice to have this wide selection, but I ended up finding a set that worked for me, and I didn't really need to change it during my playthrough. Between the purchased items, equipable cards, the half-genie powers, and transformations, Shantae has an extremely varied toolset at her disposal. I think this amount of choice is great, It not only gives players variety, but it makes future runs of the game more unique. I do feel that the game was a little too generous with the amount of gems you could collect and items you could find or purchase to refill your health and magic. Other than to collect more cards or gems, enemies are more obstacles to avoid than foes to be vanquished. I think that not having a strong incentive to kill the baddies was a negative overall. Once I was sufficiently powered up, I was zipping through areas and pausing occasionally to refill my health. By the time I got to the final boss, I was completely maxed out on items and was not even the least bit concerned about dying. I am torn on whether or not this is a negative because at the end of a Metroidvania game, you are supposed to feel powerful. So maybe the fact that I had no fear was the game's way of rewarding me for having gotten to the end. Speaking of bosses, the Siren boss encounters were unique and fun. Each Siren had a defining look that matched their theme. Figuring out the mechanic to disable and defeat the Sirens were some of the high points of this game. Shantae and the Seven Sirens is a solid game. It's short but very replayable, and replayability is what a good Metroidvania needs. I enjoyed my time with it, and it calls to me even now to try out New Game Plus or attempt a speedrun. To answer my question at the start of the video, does it hold up to my high standards for the genre? I like to think that Shantae deserves to be on the shelf alongside the greats like Ori, Metroid, and Castlevania, but it has a little ways to go before I can recommend you play it over those titles. We here at the Game Pack give Shantae and the Seven Sirens an 8 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the Game Pack for more news, reviews, and other gaming content. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.